It started with one rumor that hit harder than any fight on screen. Fans everywhere whispered the same question: did Jovi actually contact a divorce lawyer behind Yara's back? The word spread fast, not from tabloids, but from people who once believed this couple had survived it all. The shock wasn't about divorce itself, it was about the secret. If true, it meant he'd already checked out while smiling for the cameras. Hey everyone, I'm Sabrina and you're watching TLC Drama Live. If you've been following Jovi and Yara since their first chaotic season, hit subscribe and tell me in the comments, did you see this coming, or does it feel like betrayal? From day one, Jovi and Yara looked like opposites that worked. She was sharp, stylish, and independent. He was laid back, fun, and maybe a little too wild. They fought, they made up, and somehow fans rooted for them because under the chaos there was affection. But lately, that affection has been buried under silence. Every new episode feels colder, more distant, like both of them are talking through a glass wall. Yara once said she came to America for love, not for survival. Watching her now, you can almost see that spark fading. The woman who once laughed off his bad jokes now looks exhausted. And Jovi, he's not the same man we met at the start either. The party guy became a restless husband, trying to hold a family together, but acting like he's already lost it. The rumor about the divorce lawyer isn't random gossip. It started after a tell-all moment when Andre, never shy to stir trouble, accused Jovi of confessing to him privately. Cameras caught everything. Jovi's smile vanished, his shoulders tightened, and Yara's face froze. He denied it, but that split second was enough to fuel an entire storm online. Fans began piecing together every awkward comment, every trip apart, every photo without a wedding ring. The timeline didn't lie, something was shifting long before anyone noticed. But what if this lawyer talk isn't the worst part? What if the real shock is what Jovi didn't say when the cameras stopped rolling? They started like every fan favorite love story. Two people from different worlds trying to prove that chemistry could beat culture, distance, and timing. Yara was bold and funny, always a few steps ahead. Jovi was carefree, living for the moment, convinced everything could be solved with a drink and a smile. Their banter was messy but real, and that's why people loved them. You could feel the pull between them, the tension of two strong personalities learning how to share one life. When Mila was born, it looked like a new chapter. The wild energy calmed, replaced by something softer. Yara's whole world became her daughter, but Jovi's didn't slow down the same way. Fans saw it. He still wanted nights out, trips with the boys, and freedom that didn't fit a father's routine. The more she built stability, the more he tried to escape it. It wasn't evil, it was fear. Responsibility can make some people grow, and it makes others run. Jovi seemed caught between both. In multiple scenes, he said things that left viewers stunned. He'd joke about divorce after drinking, but the humor was sharp, almost deliberate. It stopped sounding like teasing and started feeling like warning shots. Yara would go quiet, eyes fixed on him, trying to figure out if it was still a joke. Fans saw those moments on Happily Ever After and realized the fights weren't for ratings. They were too raw, too tired. There's one episode where Yara tried to explain how alone she felt raising Mila. Jovi laughed it off, called her dramatic. That scene replayed 1,000 times on social media because it showed what words couldn't hide. She was done asking for empathy. Still, he's not a villain. You can tell he's lost somewhere between guilt and pride. Sometimes he tries to do the right thing, then ruins it in the next breath. Viewers can see the conflict in his face, the part of him that knows he's pushing her away but can't stop himself. The cracks didn't come from one betrayal. They came from repetition, little moments that never got fixed, conversations that ended mid-sentence, trust eroded not by cheating but by carelessness. But the first real crack didn't happen on TV. It started somewhere off camera, in a moment fans never saw, and it changed everything that came after. When TLC sent them to the last resort, it was supposed to be their second chance. A tropical retreat, therapy sessions, cameras everywhere, a place for couples to fix what fame had broken. But instead of healing, the show stripped away every layer of politeness they had left. The jokes stopped landing. The smiles looked forced. By the second episode, you could feel they were no longer performing for love, only for damage control. Yara came in calm but guarded. Her biggest fear wasn't losing Jovi, it was losing herself. You could see it every time the therapist asked her to open up. She spoke like a woman who had learned that honesty could be used against her. When she talked about trust, her tone wasn't angry, it was exhausted. The kind of exhaustion that comes when you've been explaining the same hurt for years. Jovi's side of the couch told a different story. His words were defensive, his jokes more aggressive than funny. He kept saying he felt attacked, that no matter what he did, it wasn't enough. But what viewers noticed most was how much control mattered to him. Where Yara wanted space, he wanted reassurance. Where she needed calm, he needed proof. Their definitions of love no longer matched. Couples therapy looks peaceful on camera, but in reality, it can expose resentment that's been buried for too long. In private, healing can be gentle. In front of a production crew, it becomes a test: who can cry first, who apologizes last, who looks worse in playback. For Yara, every confession seemed to cost her dignity. For Jovi, every correction felt like humiliation. By the finale, the therapist said progress had been made, but fans weren't convinced. The tension between them wasn't fading, it was thickening, quiet, cold, unresolved. When they hugged, it felt like a truce, not reconciliation. Then silence. No posts, no public affection, no shared appearances. It's the silence that made fans suspicious. Because silence on this show usually means something happened when the cameras stopped rolling. And then, one night off camera, the tension finally crossed a line. The tell-all stage has seen its fair share of chaos, but that night, the tension was different. No shouting at first, no wild outbursts, just a quiet unease, the kind that builds before something breaks. The cast sat in their seats, the host tried to keep order, and then Andre dropped the bomb. He claimed that Jovi had talked to him privately about seeing a divorce lawyer. No warning, no context, just the sentence that froze the entire room. Yara's face changed instantly. She didn't yell, didn't even blink for a moment. Her expression went blank, the kind of look you give when your mind can't process what it's hearing. Jovi tried to brush it off with a smirk, that old defense mechanism that worked when the stakes were smaller. But this time, the joke didn't land. The camera caught his posture stiffening, his eyes darting away, his hand clenching the armrest. Fans caught it too. That microsecond of discomfort became the screenshot that fueled thousands of Reddit theories. On screen, he denied everything. He said it wasn't true, that Andre was twisting his words. But the tone didn't match the words. His voice cracked slightly, just enough to make people question what was real. Meanwhile, Andre doubled down, saying Jovi had told him, man to man, that things were over. The argument went in circles, but what made the moment unforgettable was Yara's silence. She didn't interrupt, she didn't defend. She just looked at him, like she was searching for the truth without asking aloud. The fandom split right down the middle. Half believed Andre was stirring drama to stay relevant. The other half believed Jovi's body language said everything he couldn't admit. Frame by frame, fans dissected his reactions online: the blink rate, the shifting jaw, the tight smile. It became a kind of group investigation. Some said it was classic stress response. Others said it was guilt. But everyone agreed on one thing: something changed in that room. After Andre's accusation, Jovi stopped talking as much. He crossed his arms, leaned back, and checked out of the conversation. That quiet withdrawal, caught live on camera, told a story words couldn't. The moment he refused to answer said louder than words. The internet doesn't wait for proof. The minute that tell-all aired, Reddit lit up like a crime scene. Within hours, there were full timelines, screenshots, body language breakdowns, and threads titled, "Jovi definitely saw a divorce lawyer." One post claimed to have an inside source. Another linked to a random lawyer's Yelp review as if that meant something. It was chaos disguised as investigation. Every facial twitch from Jovi became evidence. Every pause between words became confirmation. Fans slowed down clips frame by frame, insisting they could see guilt in his eyes. A few even compared his reactions to other cast members caught lying in past seasons. Suddenly, everyone online was part psychologist, part detective, and part stand-up comedian. The memes were brutal. One said, "Jovi doesn't need therapy, he needs a lawyer on speed dial." It would be funny if it weren't also sad. The line between entertainment and reality blurred completely. Most people forgot that no one actually confirmed anything. No papers filed, no legal contact proven, no statement from TLC. Just reactions, edits, and screenshots treated like courtroom evidence. Still, it's easy to see why fans ran with it. The show has trained viewers to look for hidden meaning. When you've watched couples lie for years on national TV, every awkward pause feels like a clue. So Reddit became the courtroom, and public opinion became the verdict. Yara barely said anything online during the whole debate, which made fans even more suspicious. Silence always feeds conspiracy. Jovi, on the other hand, made short posts about haters and fake drama, which did nothing to calm things down. The harder he pushed back, the more people believed the rumor. You could scroll through those threads for hours and see the same pattern: fans projecting their own heartbreak onto the couple, reading every emoji like a confession. Some were angry at him, others protective of her, but almost no one stopped to question if the proof was real. That's the problem with reality TV fandoms. When the truth is boring, speculation wins. And once a story like Jovi called a divorce lawyer hits the algorithm, it doesn't matter what's true, it matters what sounds true. But one tiny detail in that reunion clip makes fans rethink everything. When the noise about lawyers cooled down, another fight took center stage, the baby debate. It wasn't new, but this time, it sounded final. Jovi wanted another child, Yara didn't. And beneath that simple disagreement sat years of resentment, insecurity, and fear neither wanted to say out loud. Jovi's side seemed practical at first. He talked about giving Mila a sibling, building a real family, creating balance in their marriage. On paper, it sounded noble. But every time he brought it up, his tone carried something heavier, like the baby was more than a wish, it was a test. He kept saying things like, "We'll never be on the same page," or "I don't want to waste time." Those aren't words of a man planning for a baby, those are the words of someone trying to measure loyalty. Yara, meanwhile, stood her ground. She said raising Mila nearly broke her, and she wasn't ready to start over. She built her own work life, her own independence, something few 90-day fiancé wives manage to do successfully. To her, another child right now meant losing that freedom, becoming invisible again. She wasn't cold, she was careful. Her tone wasn't rejection, it was protection, and she had logic on her side. Jovi's work schedule, his travel, his habits, they weren't exactly a foundation for another baby. She wanted consistency, not chaos. Her message was clear: don't ask for more responsibility when you're still avoiding the ones you already have. Still, there's a deeper layer to her resistance that even fans divided over. Some think she's avoiding intimacy because the trust is gone. When every argument turns into a public moment, it's hard to be vulnerable again. For her, saying no might not be about the baby, it might be about control. If she gives in, she risks losing the only power she still has left in that marriage. And Jovi's insistence might be the same thing in reverse. Maybe he's not obsessed with another child. Maybe he's terrified that Yara doesn't need him anymore. When a man built his identity around being wanted, independence can feel like rejection. They call it a baby discussion, but the fight isn't about parenting. It's about two people standing in the ruins of their relationship, each trying to prove they still matter. Is this about a baby or about proof of loyalty? The pattern has been there since the beginning. Every big fight between them has the same ingredients: too much alcohol, too little listening, and a moment that goes too far. Jovi's drinking isn't a secret. It's been part of his story since season 1, when his nights out were half the plot. At first it was funny, part of his charm. Then it stopped being funny. The jokes turned into arguments, and the arguments turned into distance. There's a scene most fans remember: Jovi, tipsy, throwing out the word divorce like it was a punchline. Yara's face drops, not in anger but disbelief. That kind of threat changes the tone of every conversation after it. You can't joke your way back from that. Since then, every time he drinks, viewers hold their breath, waiting for another line to be crossed. The drinking ties into something deeper: control and ego. When he feels ignored, he performs louder. When she pulls back, he tests boundaries. Public embarrassment became a cycle between them. She calls him out, he defends himself with pride, then doubles down instead of apologizing. It's not cruelty, it's reflex. A man trying to win every argument so he doesn't have to face the silence after it. It's also the job. Jovi's life offshore means weeks away, then sudden returns home where everything feels foreign again. That rhythm destroys emotional stability. It's easy to feel like a visitor in your own house. For Yara, that distance means living like a single parent most of the year. For him, it means coming home to rules he didn't help build. They keep missing each other's timing. Loneliness changes people. For some, it brings reflection. For others, it brings resentment. Jovi fills the quiet with noise, bars, friends, banter. Yara fills it with work, independence, structure. They're both coping, but in opposite directions. There's empathy in that picture if you look close. Two people reacting to isolation differently, both thinking the other stopped caring. He feels replaced by her strength. She feels drained by his chaos. The longer it goes, the harder it gets to tell which version of them is real: the couple who fought for love or the strangers performing it. But a new twist from Yara's side changes everything, and he didn't see it coming. When Yara finally said the word divorce, her voice didn't shake. It wasn't anger, it was resignation. On camera, she called the idea scary, but you could tell she'd already imagined it. That quiet fear wasn't about losing Jovi. It was about facing single motherhood in a country that still doesn't fully feel like home. She built everything she has from scratch: her business, her independence, her sense of safety. Divorce to her meant starting over again, this time with a child to protect. Fans sometimes misread her calm as coldness, but it's the opposite: it's survival. When someone lives in constant emotional uncertainty, composure becomes armor. Every time Jovi dismisses her feelings or jokes about leaving, she folds that pain into silence. It's her way of staying steady for Mila. She can't afford to fall apart because the cameras will never let her forget it. Still, she doesn't hate him. That's what makes it harder to watch. You can see the love buried under the frustration. She looks at him sometimes like she's remembering who he used to be: the man who waited for her at airports, the one who called her every night before their visa was approved. But every memory ends in the same place: the version of him that stood in therapy, rolling his eyes, calling her dramatic, refusing to listen. For Jovi, pride is the only thing left that feels solid. Every time she pulls back, he doubles down. He still calls out hypocrisy when he sees it, still claims he's trying. But you can hear the exhaustion in his voice too. A man who's tired of being wrong, but even more tired of being ignored. When Yara told the producers she needed time alone, it sounded like a break. In reality, it was a quiet act of rebellion. She started spending more time with her own circle, planning short trips, focusing on work. The fans noticed before Jovi did. Her posts got lighter, her captions sharper. Independence looked good on her. And then came the confession no one expected. She admitted she had started planning for herself, with or without him. Not to hurt him, but to make sure she wouldn't be trapped again. It wasn't a threat, it was self-preservation. And right when fans thought it was over, Yara made a decision that stunned everyone. When the divorce lawyer rumor hit its peak, Jovi did what most reality stars do when the internet turns: he tried to control the story. His posts shifted tone overnight. The funny reels and bar clips disappeared. In their place came calm, edited moments with his daughter, smiling selfies with Yara, and captions about family time. It looked wholesome, but it felt like damage control. Fans noticed. Every time he posted, the comments filled with people asking if it was genuine or staged. Then came the interviews. He laughed off the rumors, saying people believe anything they see online. That line should have cleared the air, but it did the opposite. The tone was defensive, not reassuring. He didn't deny talking to a lawyer, only mocked the idea. And his silence on Yara's separate plans made fans think he was hiding something. The absence of emotion told its own story. Some viewers wondered if the whole thing, the lawyer rumor, Andre's accusation, even the tension between them, had become part of TLC's marketing play. The show thrives on marital collapse. Nothing pulls views like a couple on the edge. Maybe the network didn't plan it, but they sure didn't stop it either. Clips were teased, trailers framed every stare down like a confession. The more fans speculated, the more attention the show got. Still, there was something in Jovi's behavior that didn't fit the narrative. If he truly wanted out, why try so hard to look stable? Maybe guilt, maybe fear of losing public sympathy, maybe both. He began liking fan comments that defended him and ignoring the rest. A few Reddit users even caught him lurking in threads where people debated his marriage. That detail alone reignited everything. Yara, meanwhile, stayed quiet, the same strategic silence she always uses when the noise gets too loud. No denial, no explanation, just distance. And it worked. Her mystery became power. The less she said, the more people sided with her. The reversal was complete. The man once seen as the easygoing husband was now under scrutiny, and the woman accused of being controlling was the one fans defended. It was a strange kind of justice, not fair, not false, just what happens when real pain meets scripted TV. Because what happened next blurred the line between real marriage and reality TV. By the end of it all, no one could say for sure what was true anymore. Did Jovi actually contact a divorce lawyer, or did the rumor grow because it was easier to believe than silence? The evidence never went beyond suggestion. No documents, no leaks, no confirmation from either side. Just a handful of expressions, a few suspicious edits, and a fandom hungry for answers. Still, truth doesn't always live in paperwork. Sometimes you can see it in the pauses, in the way a couple stops reaching for each other. Watching Jovi and Yara now, you can feel that distance even in their quietest scenes. The laughter sounds practiced, the affection careful, like they're trying to remember how to play the roles they once lived for real. That's the price of reality TV fame. It turns real love into performance, every argument into content. The same fans who once rooted for you now analyze your body language like a crime scene. Every smile becomes proof of peace, every silence proof of betrayal. You start living as two versions of yourself, one for the camera, one for survival. Jovi might have learned that too late. In trying to fix his image, he built a wall around himself. The joke stopped being charming, the confidence started looking defensive. And Yara, the woman who once wanted a simple life, now moves like someone who doesn't trust the spotlight anymore. Fame made them visible, but it also made them hollow. Maybe that's the saddest truth. The marriage didn't collapse in one blow, it eroded under constant exposure. The rumors, the expectations, the edits, they didn't create the cracks, they widened them. Two people who once fought to be together now seem lost in the noise that came with being watched. Fans still argue about whether the lawyer story was real or staged, but the answer might not matter anymore. What's left is a couple who gave their love to a show that keeps replaying their pain for ratings. Because if Jovi and Yara's truth was this messy, wait till you hear what another couple did to keep their secrets off camera.